One morning at work, like any other in the studio, my friend and colleague Marco Madrigal arrives, and I tell him, "Let's work on a concept album. I have an idea." You see, for many years, I had a series of recurring dreams, all apocalyptic, with no major connection or individual meaning, but they were all something monstrous that ended badly. On one occasion, I am by the sea, while it overflows and I run desperately towards a high area. On another, I walk through the streets and enormous bolts of fire begin to rain down. From the roof of my house, I see the city destroyed by lightning, or invaded by alien ships, or the earth stops its rotation and everything is thrown into space. But one day, those dreams stopped. After the last one, in which I was with my loved ones on the roof of my house overlooking the city, and each and every one of the previous calamities began to happen, and I was narrating to them what was going to happen. I told them that I had already seen it coming. In the end, everything began to turn dark around us. Then I told them that the last thing had already happened. And from then on, I didn't know what would happen next. But we had to lock ourselves in my room, not even look outside, and just sleep, hoping that the morning would bring something new. We fell asleep, and the next morning, I woken up by the birds singing. We all went out together, and the city and all the darkness and destruction were gone. Everything was green, sunny, full of life. For many years, I had thought about doing something with those dreams, writing a book, a movie script, a series, but I never ended up deciding on anything. However, last night I had a dream that gave shape to the whole idea. I was walking across a bridge, next to a huge building under construction, when a huge earthquake started. I was running, trying to escape the rubble, amidst a lot of chaos and noise, when suddenly everything went silent and an eerie calm. Everything around me was an enormous cloud of dust, and coming from nowhere and all at once, a spectral voice that repeated over and over again, "The way back is silent. The way back is lonely. The way back is painful. The way back is sad." I stop my walk, and something calls me to walk back inside that immense curtain of dust and smoke. Hundreds, maybe thousands of shadows walk towards me. They reach me. They pass by my sides, completely ignoring my presence. They all look beaten with blood, with torn skin, and some faces disfigured according to what I can identify among the shadows. Suddenly, I understand clearly. All of them are the dead because of the catastrophe, and that way back is nothing other than death. The way back to the source, to heaven, to the afterlife. Marco, still surprised, says to me, "And how does it all fit together?" "Easy," I say. Each of my old dreams metaphorically represents one of the many aspects that often overwhelm humanity: pain, fear, depression, anxiety, expectations, idolatry, and the voices of society and the media that confuse and misinform more than they inform and guide. We have a young girl, the protagonist of the story, who suffers from all of this at the same time, representing all of humanity overwhelmed by all these problems. The poor girl sinks deeper and deeper into her sorrow and is ready to end it all, even ending her own life, But suddenly, on the day of a major earthquake, the entire situation and the chaos around her make her come to her senses and reevaluate her life, coming to the conclusion that there is still much to go on and countless paths to follow. There is always the promise of a new day. Excellent, let's do it, he tells me. Here's a curious detail. Marco and I met after the 2017 earthquake in Mexico City. We each went to help out at a collection center, and through conversation, we discovered our passion for music. I had a recording studio with some friends, and we invited him to work with us. That's why we decided to dedicate this album specifically to the victims of the 2017 earthquake. In a way, our paths connected and gave meaning to what had previously been just loose, formless ideas. The album was to be titled El Camino de Regreso, The Way Back, despite being written entirely in English, except for a fragment of a song full of meaning for our tribute. The genres were to be rock, metal, progressive and symphonic, uniting our enormous passion and affinity for those genres. We worked together on the entire album, not as a band, but as a studio project, which a few years later I would decide to call Kaos Ederra, Beautiful Chaos, in Basque, as it exactly reflects the nature of those combined genres. Now you know the story behind El Camino de Regreso and the project itself, and full of excitement and satisfaction, in the next episodes of whatever this is, I will be presenting the entire album track by track as a narration, so that together, in the end, we will have the complete image. And if the gods grant me that grace, let us spread the message to every corner where there is someone who still has hope in humanity. She, whoever she is, perhaps everyone from whom this story resonates as personal, everyone who can relate, even if instead of her is a he. She's been struggling with this inner struggle for a while, feeling increasingly overwhelmed, more frustrated, more tired of fighting the world, overwhelmed by her own thoughts, her feelings. Sometimes she feels so alone, so sad, so confused, so furious, so clinging to false promises and vain hopes. Sometimes the whole world around her seems like a grand symphony orchestra, trying to tune itself only for a tiny detail to throw everything off balance, just when everything seems to start sounding right. Sometimes, each day seems like just another attempt to harmonize with the world, with life, with her inner self. That is Incipit Prologus in Nocte, this current state she finds herself in, her subconscious in its perpetual search for calm. El Camino de Regreso, track number 1, here. She tries to find a way out. She's always tried. She's never been one to give up, but suddenly it becomes difficult. Much more difficult than it might seem necessary. She has the strength to lift weights, the knowledge to solve a problem. The support of those who love has never been in doubt. The true enemy is herself. It's within. Those thoughts and feelings that so often overwhelm us humans. All the depression, stress, anxiety, anger, all those feelings that drown us inside. We don't need more enemies when our greatest antagonist is our own mind, drowning us. Like an omnipotent flood after a deluge. Track number 2. The Flood. She has always wondered, why is it that those with power seem to care the least? The world is hard enough as it is. And on top of that, there are those people who seem to enjoy causing chaos and suffering, who look it in the eye and don't seem to care, who take no action to help solve the problems. There are those who even seem to be aware of it and decide to look the other way in order to maintain their power, their personal benefit. They walk through the streets while huge balls of fire fall next to them, destroying everything, killing others. But as long as they manage to dodge them, they will continue on their way without stopping to help. Track number 3. Fire in the Sky. The world we live in today seems to care little for individual, critical, objective, positive thinking. Anyone with a camera and a microphone is an opinion leader, now called an influencer. Anyone can say any amount of nonsense, and there will always be hundreds of thousands who believe it and reward them with their attention. For the fashion industry, what matters is the discourse they've created about beauty standards, even if a girl ends up dying of anorexia. It's all about polarized and biased viewpoints. All that social noise that can range from the media to the ever-present criticism or opinions of family or friends, that's what she hates the most. She's tired of not being able to hear her own thoughts because of all those noise around her. It's as if she were standing in the middle of a huge city, and in addition to the usual noise, lightning began to strike everywhere, accompanied by its loud roar, one after another, never stopping. Track number 4. Thunderstorm. Poor creature. She's so tired of everything. She stops for a moment to think, to take a breath, to think of a solution to everything. She turns over and over all that tangle of worries in her head. She's exhausted. Maybe it's time to make some kind of decision. Track number 5. Crimson Prelude. It's not that easy. Nothing is that easy. She may be convinced of the decision she's about to make, but there are always alternatives around us. There are promises, or not. There will always be the religious and spiritual promise of a better tomorrow. Prayer can save you. Squeeze your eyes shut and convince yourself with all your might that your faith will save you. Maybe it's not a god. Maybe it's an alien race, so superior that they'll come to us with all the solutions ready to be shared. They're coming to save us, and the fanatics raise their hands to the sky, begging them, "Take me!" Maybe, and just maybe, they're neither deities nor aliens. Maybe it's the Justice Squad, superheroes full of fantastic powers, ready to save us from the forces of evil. The point is that we tend to rely on the help of all of those higher powers, instead of taking responsibility for ourselves and taking action. Track number 6. The Visitors. If the Earth were to stop rotating for an instant, the consequences would be catastrophic. Inertia would cause everything to continue moving at the same speed. At the equator, the winds would continue their advance at 1,600 kilometers per hour, pulverizing everything in their path. The oceans would shift, devastating entire continents. Day and night would become 365 days, causing extreme temperatures. The magnetic field would be lost, gravity would change, all ecosystems would collapse. In short, the total and almost immediate end of life. Returning to the moment where she is about to make a decision, that's exactly what she wants, to end so much and everything now. She wishes the world could simply stop spinning. She can't stop the whole world, but she can make that decision for her own world. She takes a gun and prepares to use it on herself. Track number 7. Stop spinning. We've all heard the saying that in the last moments before dying, you see your entire life flash before your eyes. She moves in extremely slow motion as she brings the barrel of the gun to her mouth and is about to pull the trigger. In just those few seconds, she actually sees her life flash before her eyes, placing special emphasis on her traumas and all the circumstances and feelings that led her to the critical point she is reached. It's like a chaotic swirl of images, a collage that mixes vast fragments of total darkness with glimpses of diverse moments. Track number 8. Dark and Loud. In that last instant, before she pulls the trigger, the ground shakes. An unexpected earthquake makes her react. Suddenly, scared, she takes the gun out of her mouth, takes a breath. She looks out of the window, sees chaos in the street, goes outside, walks through all that chaos. Around her, people are running, screaming. Some are in shock, others trying to help rescue whoever they can from the rubble of collapsed buildings. Everything is a perfectly choreographed dance between chaos and solidarity. These are those first moments, hours after the tragedy. She herself gets involved and decides to help. Then come exhausting days of work at forced marches to save as many lives as possible. The atmosphere is filled with fatigue and at the same time the fire of the last hopes. The inevitable moment arrives when the rescue efforts stop. The lives of all the missing are given up for lost, given way to the first weeks and months of mourning. Finally, months later, life must return to its normal course. Reconstruction begins. Everyone collaborates. Everyone helps. A nation is brought out of chaos and crisis thanks to the unity of all. And from there, new hope is born. The road back is a suite in 4 movements with their respective interludes, which represent the entire crisis and, in our work, the moment of chaos and the first works, the tireless relief work in the first days, the mourning in the following weeks, and the reconstruction in the following months. It serves as a tribute to all the lives lost in the 2017 Mexico City earthquake, and as a recognition of the unity of the people, track number 9, El Camino de Regreso, the road back. After everything she's been through, after the event that made her react at the last minute, she reevaluates her life, finds new hope, new motivations, and, in general, a new meaning. She's understood that her problems weren't so big after all, not because she is belittling them, but because there are always worse things, and even so, it's worth fighting and moving forward. In this track, we hear a poem stemming from her own vision and inspiration after everything that happened, followed by a series of speeches from famous celebrities who have inspired myself, opened my eyes, and served as a guide and reminder to always find a reason and how to move forward. Track number 10, Calm After the Storm. She has understood. She has moved forward. And this song is a cry of courage, telling life that she no longer wants everything that was. That from now on, it's all about looking towards a new dawn. And this is exactly how this journey that never truly ends. This album seeks to become a message of hope for everyone who feels lost, reaffirming ideas like you're not alone. There will always be those who have bigger problems, and even then, solutions can be found. It's worth searching for them. Life is already difficult enough without adding unnecessary weight to it, often induced by others. Fight, seek help, never give up. Track number 11, Novum Aurora.